One of the most common things that I hear is that songwriters and producers struggle to finish their songs. They've got a hard drive full of idea after idea, loop after loop, hook after hook, instrumental after instrumental, half-finished lines, half-finished lyrics, a book of half ideas and no finished songs. It is a really common thing, and it's nothing to do with a lack of talent. It's usually what's going on up here. Overthinking, self-doubt, getting too attached to the idea that you're scared to follow through in case it doesn't live up to what you imagined. If that sounds familiar, in this video we're going to talk about that and how the mental blocks that stop us writing and how they affect us, and more importantly what to do about them, because that's really what we want to try and figure out, because the writers who finish the most songs aren't the most talented. They're the ones who've learned to get out of their own way. Let's take a look then. I'm going to start with the overthinking trap. Now, this is one that I know I'm definitely guilty of, and especially when there's other things going on. When you've got things going on in your life, it's really difficult sometimes to come out of that and think about your music separately. It is like this. You sit down, you get a great idea, and then immediately your brain starts interrogating it. Is it too similar to something else? Is the chorus good enough? Should I change the key? Is the verse too long? Before you know it, you've spent 2 hours on 8 bars and you feel completely drained, or worse, you haven't written a single note because you've talked yourself out of starting. This happens for people who write full songs, people who are top liners writing melodies and lyrics, lyricists, producers writing instrumentals. It's a really common thing. You haven't written a single note, you've talked yourself out of starting, and you're at square one. The problem is that we're trying to write, produce, and A&R our song at the same time. And these are all 3 very different things. And our brain can't do them all at the same time. We just grind to a halt when that happens. So the fix to this, it's really difficult. There's no getting around this, but separating the writing from the judging. When you sit down to write, give yourself a window. Let's say you give yourself half an hour. And the rule is keep moving. There's no other rule. Just keep moving. Don't evaluate. Don't stop and think about it. Just go. Don't go back. Just write. Just go forward. The editing will come later. The critic doesn't get a seat at the table until the first draft is done. Think of it like a rough demo. You wouldn't expect your rough vocal or your guide vocal to be the final take. Give your idea the same grace. The confidence problem. Lack of confidence is usually, mostly in songwriters. I see it quite often at every level. People who have been, lucky enough to have lots and lots of hits, and people who've never had a hit before. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't always show up as I can't do this. It can show up as perfectionism or procrastination. 2 things which I'm sure you'll be familiar with. Procrastination is just one of those things that happens when you suffer from a lack of confidence. You put it off. I'm not going to do it today. I'm not in the zone. I'm not doing that today. Or perfectionism. It's not quite right. I'm not going to send it yet. I'm not going to let my co-writer or my producer work with me on this. It means that you end up spending weeks on one idea or one song instead of finishing it and moving on. But here's the truth about confidence. It's not something that you have before you write. You don't have confidence. It's something you build by writing. So every finished song, every single one, even the ones that you're not proud of, is evidence that you can do it. And that evidence stacks up. One of the best things I ever did was commit to writing. And I did this for about a year where I said, right, I've done enough of these unfinished songs. I'm going to just go for it. And regardless of the quality, I got them finished. Some of them probably would never end up being shown to anyone, but a lot of them did and were better than I thought, because I brought other people in to get their evaluation, get them to play A&R. But because an unfinished song will teach you nothing, a finished song will always teach you something, even if it's just, I got through that. And even though I know it's not going to be the one that's going to get cut or the one I'm going to release, I got through it. Here's a tip for you. Try and set a 48-hour rule. Give yourself 48 hours from the moment you start a song to have a finished, rough version. So we're talking a beginning, a middle, and an end. It doesn't have to be polished. It could be recorded with your iPhone. It could be written down if it's a lyric. It could be a rough production in Logic if you are a producer, or whatever else you use. And this rewires you in terms of thinking about finishing something rather than perfecting. Perfecting can come later. Getting too attached. This is something that happens a lot. When I was working as a publisher, the amount of times that you meet writers who are so attached to their ideas that they can't see past their idea, particularly in a collaboration situation. It's a subtle one. Let's imagine that you're writing a hook and it feels great. It's the best thing you've ever written, so you protect it. You won't let anyone change it. You don't let your producer suggest anything. You don't let your co-writer suggest anything. And you build the whole song around this one idea because you're terrified that you lose this idea. And then the song never gets finished because nothing else is ever good enough to stand next to your precious hook. This happens to all of us. We get something that we think is perfect. Attachment kills collaboration and it kills progress. The songs that get cut, the ones that connect with listeners, they always have parts that the writers let go of. I can think of many songs where my final contribution to the output, to the final song, if I break it down and which one came from one of my ideas, many of them, there's lots of parts where it didn't come from my idea. But those ideas might never have come if it hadn't been for the first idea that I had, and then the collaborator bounces off of that. And if you're not open to changing and developing, your song will just get stuck. It won't move anywhere. You also get parts cut out entirely from songs. It's all part of the process. Here's something to think about. When you feel yourself getting attached to a specific line or melody, write 2 or 3 alternative versions of it, even if your first one's the best. Just by exploring alternatives, it loosens your grip slightly. Sometimes alternative number 2 can turn out to be even stronger than the first one. Get someone's opinion on them as well. Give it to your co-writer and say, which one of these do you like? This is the one I love, but what do you think? You never know, you might be surprised. Fear of judgment. This is a big one. A lot of unfinished songs are unfinished because finishing them means they're real. And if they're real, someone might hear them. And if someone hears them, they might not like them. It's a big, big thing. It's really normal as well. I don't think it matters whether you're a songwriter with 100 releases or none. It just is a normal part of it. You have to kind of just let it run its course. Otherwise, you'll spend your career writing half songs. Remember this, that the music industry is based on rejection. Most songs get rejected, even by career songwriters. And try and remember that your song isn't for everyone. It's for the right person. And that right person might be exactly the person that hears it, or it may not be. It may be somebody else entirely. Your job is to finish it and get it to those people, not to pre-approve it through an imaginary audience in your head. They don't exist. It is all about you and getting the idea finished, and then it's out of your control what other people think of it. Once you've got it to the point where you're happy, everyone else then takes over. It's about the A&Rs, the labels, the artists. And at that point, yes, you can go and refine it and change it, but you've got to let that go. And you've got to understand that it might not be for everybody. In fact, I'd be very surprised if every song you ever write goes to the person that you send it to and is accepted. In fact, you'd be probably the only person in the world if that happened. And here's something that might help. Write for one specific person. When you're writing, don't think about the market. Don't think about the audience. Don't think about a playlist. Think about that one person. Could be a friend, a family member, a listener, that you know, someone that's going through something you've been through. Making it specific will make it feel universal, and it removes this idea that you have to please everyone with every single song. Quite often, the songs that are really specific have very different interpretations for other people anyway. So try not to overthink the judgment part. Try to focus on what it is that you want to write about. And stop worrying about what other people think, because you are going to be judged on your songs. Or your song, that's not the right way to say it. Your songs are going to be judged. It isn't a personal thing. Your song might be the perfect song for somebody, or it might not. It might be the 50th attempt to find the right person. Whatever, whichever way it works. Fear of judgment is a very normal part of the process. The comparison spiral. This is my final point I want to make. Social media has definitely got a part to play in this. You're 3 hours into a song, you feel good about it, you open up your phone and you hear something incredible, and suddenly your song feels kind of small and derivative and it's not worth finishing. This happens a lot, particularly if you're a songwriter following other songwriters. If you're a singer-songwriter and you follow 20 other singer-songwriters all doing similar things, you are going to hear other things that are going to be great. And that's good, because it's inspiration and it shows you that it can be done. And quite often you're hearing them with fresh ears. So you've got to remember that it's all about context. It's always going to feel unfair because you'll be comparing your rough draft to someone else's finished, mixed, mastered, often promoted song. It's not a level playing field. This is a really simple rule, but it works really well. Put the phone down during the session. Just put it away. Just face down. Don't look at it. Protect your creative space. The algorithm isn't going to change. You're still going to have those videos to look at afterwards, but your creative momentum might not still be there when you leave. It's like anything, once you get into the zone, anything that can distract that needs to be kind of switched off and put away for a minute. And remember, the writers that you're comparing yourself to, they're also doing the same. It's an amazing thing. I think the first time I got a success, I got a #1 single in China, and it went #1 for about 8 weeks. And I'd always thought that the day I got a #1 was the day that would be it. I'd succeeded. And I got the #1, and it was amazing. And then I went, okay, what's next? What do I do now? And it honestly doesn't change no matter where you progress. I think it only changes when you are ready to do something else with your life. So remember, those writers are comparing themselves to other people. It doesn't stop unless you stop. So just to recap, the block that stops us finishing songs aren't really about the songs. They're about overthinking, confidence, attachment, fear of judgment, and comparison. They all have one thing in common. They're all stories we're telling ourselves. The good news is that you get to choose different stories. You can separate your writing from judging. You can finish everything, even the rubbish ones, even the rough ones. Lose your grips on the ideas that you love. You can write for one person, not an imaginary crowd, and protect your sessions like they matter, because they do. Your song deserves it, and your song deserves to exist, and people need to hear them. Deserve to hear them. The only thing standing in your way is usually you. Thank you so much for watching, and please do like and subscribe if you like this. And remember, you can come and check us out at the Craft House on School.